Welcome back to the channel. I got to check out some of the young talent between the Cleveland Browns and the Philadelphia Eagles. Now, you're probably saying Cleveland Browns is a preseason game. What do they really have with a team that has a lot of star power on the team? How much can you learn from preseason? Well, I think it's some pretty interesting things that I saw, especially from last night. And for the Philadelphia Eagles, we got to understand new coordinators on the offensive and defensive side of the ball and a lot of moving pieces within the defense. So these games are meaning more than you may think, especially for the defense, and trying to figure out some of those position battles on the depth chart. Now, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. You're probably saying, why would I like, comment, and subscribe? We're just going to talk football. And if you love football, then you'll love this channel. But if you're new, once again, we're going to be going through my breakdowns and my notes. Now, there's probably some key and great takeaways that you have that I will not touch on in the video. I have my notes, and if I talked about every little thing, we would never get out of this video, and then the video would never post to YouTube. So you get what I'm saying when I say that. But once again, if you want to have those comments and talk about some of the things in which I didn't touch on personally, drop below in the comments, because I can guarantee you 9 times out of 10, I did see it. It's just not in the video. Now let's get into my first note. Dorian Thompson Robinson, one of them dogs. And what I wrote down is that he was balling. First drive, he was sharp, had a miss on the run. That's what I clocked. Now, as we know, they got to the red zone on the first drive, and Nakobe Dean made a big-time play. But I think that Dorian Thomas Robinson, what I see out of him, we understand there's 230 million reasons why Deshaun Watson will never, ever not be the starter while under that contract for the Cleveland Browns. But think about it. Let's take a step back and really look at this. We think about Tom Brady had the Jimmy G appearances. Patrick Mahomes had the Chad Henne appearances. And I'm not saying that the Cleveland Browns are a Super Bowl lock, but you got to think, for a team that's went all in, and they did, they have some big-time contracts, some big-time players, so they're trying to win the dance. But you got to have a guy in Dorian Thompson Robinson, because if Deshaun Watson, if he has to miss a game, and it's not even the fact that he's going to be hurt, we think about Josh Allen, we think about some of these big-time quarterbacks. They've had games where they're nicked. And that's maybe an elbow, that's maybe an ankle, a knee. You don't want to play on that just to say you have a chance, and that's in playoff contention. You think about the AFC North. It's real dogs, Ravens, Steelers, Bengals. So if Deshaun Watson is nicked for a game, hypothetically, Thompson Robinson has to come in, they still have a chance, because everything I saw out of this guy, now, he did have some misses, especially with some clean pockets, but I think a lot of those misses were on the run, sometimes miscommunications. But talking about when he didn't miss, he was on the money. And I think about that ball to Ringo. It was a ball on the right side, and I believe it was either to Austin Jackson. It wasn't Cedric Tillman. It was to one of his receivers on the right sideline, and Kelly Ringo just didn't make a play on the ball. He had positioning, did not react to the ball. But fitting that ball in there and doing some of the things that he did, we saw some of the scrambles. Even Kellen Mond, he showed a couple of flashes too. But Dorian Thompson Robinson getting on the move and having some of that same skill set with the athletic mobility to now, if we bring you in for a Deshaun Watson, we don't have to rip out and ruin and change our entire playbook, because you can get on the move, because you can make some interesting throws. And I saw a lot of things out of him. He's 23 years old, though. So after all of that college football, he's still fairly young. For some guys who came out in a junior year, redshirt junior year, he's still young. So it's no worry about that. And you have to wonder, will he ever get an opportunity as a starter? I think it's way too early to say that, but I've seen 3 good preseason games out of DTR, and he's balling, and that's what I have to say about him. Now, getting into the next thing, I had that on the first drive, looking at some of the Eagles' defensive line and really the defense in general, because I was not impressed, especially with that first drive and the first couple of drives, because they weren't getting pressure outside of Nolan Smith. And I want to put an asterisk on Nolan Smith. He had a win on DeJuan Jones. He was winning with speed. He was winning with power. He was making plays against the run. Nolan Smith was a dog, and he was standing out in that game. But outside of him, I was not too impressed from the defensive line. I do want to note that. And of course, they have a lot of dogs on the defensive line, probably one of the best, top 2 or 3, if not the best in football, and that's their starters. So looking at some of the depth pieces, you wonder, and I was talking about that, adding some depth pieces on the edge. Now, I do like the interior guys, pretty solid right there. But like I said, on the edge. So Nolan Smith and Hassan Reddick just had the surgery, but he'll be back by season start. So Nolan Smith will have a heavy workload in the rotation, and seeing what he did. Now, also, he went out with an injury, but I don't think it was anything significant. I know it was a shoulder. Believe he'll be back sometime soon. Now, the next note, Nakobe Dean hit the football field. Everyone in the last week against the Baltimore Ravens for the Philadelphia Eagles, we were wondering, why is Nakobe Dean not hitting the field? Yes, he's quote-unquote the guy. Yes, he's the green dot, but we need him on the football field because it's one thing to hear it, it's a whole nother thing to see it. And you got to see it last night. Now, first preseason game, and I want to preface that because I was not extremely impressed. That's simple. Now, I am a huge Nakobe Dean fan coming out of Georgia, the linebacker that he was. The leader had the infamous play. I believe he was talking to either Channing Tindall or Quay Walker when he was yelling at his guy with the leadership thing. But last night, it just did not make a lot of big-time plays, and I know a lot of people are going to overreact, and some people may not like that take from me, and that's perfectly fine. That if we all had the same take, it would be no point in making the video. But with that being said, he did make the big-time play when he forced the fumble. And you got to kind of wonder, as a linebacker, you only know yourself. You only know yourself. Did he miss that tackle, or was he aiming for the ball? I think that's a great question we got to have. But no one really cares when you have the turnover, big-time play, when the Cleveland Browns were knocking on the door to score. So saw some things out of Nakobe Dean. Still early, first preseason game. Want to see some more. I expect him to play in the next one. I want to see some more reps if he's going to be that guy, because last year did not play a whole lot. And then you're coming into this year as the starter. A linebacker has to be key for this team. But do want to say beside that, quick note, Nicholas Morrow, Christian Ellis is balling. And I'm telling you that. Christian Ellis is playing that linebacker position to the T. So I saw that out of him. Like I said, Nicholas Morrow has some good plays. Zach Cunningham, a veteran in the room, still got Miles Jack. So it's some battles between there. It's some battles, and you probably have to think right now, hypothetically, just to give you my answer, I would go Dean. Maybe Cunningham or Ellis. The way he's playing, maybe Cunningham or Ellis, having Miles in that rotation. And then outside of that, no holds barred. Nicholas Morrow still proving some things. So that's what I have right there. But I do like that linebacker core so far. It was okay last night. Now getting into my next note, Cedric Tillman. Big time off of the double move, beat Eli Ricks. So, I mean, Eli Ricks is a very talented player in his own right. But having Cedric Tillman, I think a lot of people had a late first to an early second, mid-second grade on him. Now he had that ankle injury. We got to tell the truth when we talking about Cedric Tillman. And not even just Cedric Tillman. Getting into that entire receiving corps. Like Austin Jackson, they went David Bell, they went Anthony Schwartz. They have some guys, and you have to think. Amari Coopers, Elijah Morris. I'm starting to see some things with that receiving corps. Now, like I said, all of these guys won't be big-time players for the team, but I just think that I saw great things from the receivers. They were getting open. They were getting separation. They were making big-time catches. DTR was hitting them on the money. Kellen Mond was hitting them on the money. That's just saying that for that Cleveland Browns receiving corps. I mean, that has to be a testament to coaching when they're doing that with a lot of young guys. And it was not just Cedric Tillman. Like I said, it was Austin Jackson. It was David Bell. He had a catch. Anthony Schwartz looked pretty good. And he really had the quote-unquote knock is just a speed guy. But I saw him making some possession catches. I saw him winning on some routes. He wasn't just running past people down the field. So that's a testament to his development and that coaching staff and what they're doing with those receivers. And really, having Elijah Moore, being a teacher in the room, having Amari Cooper, top 5 route runner in the game, teaching in the room. So I do want to note that. Now, another thing I saw for the Eagles, Zach McPherson playing outside. And he's typically a slot guy, so that's why I noted that down. Had a couple losses, but also bounced back with a couple wins. So I think it was good to see that because early on I was like, okay, I'm seeing that he's not really, built for this outside life. But then I saw him bounce back and make a couple plays. So I think he's right in the thick of things for the Eagles in that slot corner position battle. But I just don't know if he's going to see a lot of looks at outside. Now, I think about some of the other players in there. Avonte Maddox, I know he's a slot. Greedy Williams, I look at him as an outsider corner. So it's some things you can balance. There's some talent to work with. Coaching staff got to put it together. Now, Kenneth Gainwell, though, it had a couple good carries, but overall, I was not impressed with the running back core. I thought Trey Sermon had a couple good carries, but then he had the fumble. And then I think Rashad Penny had a good carry that I saw, but I just need to see a little more for a team who I think, now, are they going to be as run heavy as they were last year? Got Brian Johnson at OC instead of Shane Steichen. Some questions that we have to ask there, but especially Kenneth Gainwell rubbed me the wrong way last night. I'm going to be completely honest. I didn't like his sense of urgency on that safety. Now, I understand it's preseason, but you understand you're on the 1. And basically you're on the half yard mark because you weren't far out of the end zone. And there's no sense of urgency to get out of that end zone and get a hard-nosed half of a yard. Get a hard-nosed yard. Things like that rub me the wrong way. Now, in the postseason last year, he was exceptional. He looked a little bit better than Miles Sanders at times in the postseason, but I did not like his sense of urgency right there. I do want to say it's preseason. I'm not overreacting, but that does rub me the wrong way. Why are you not trying to get out of the end zone? Safeties are 2 points for the defense. And then, those guys bounced back on the second drive. And then a little further along in the game, I thought Marcus Mariota for the Philadelphia Eagles, I thought he struggled. And the same thing I saw with the Atlanta Falcons. You wonder why they didn't click the Ritter button a little earlier in Atlanta. But Mariota is just inaccurate. Had to pick the Ronnie Hickman. Now, Ronnie Hickman is a guy for the Cleveland Browns, and he's still fairly young, but he's making some plays. You have to wonder what will his role be when the season comes. Now, some other guys in the safety room, but if he continues to make plays, he's gonna get his chance in the NFL. He's gonna continue to do some of those things. Love to see that from the secondary. Love that. But back to Mariota. He had the tight end in the seam and missed completely high. Now, we talk about the Malik Willis throw in Tennessee. We talk about how he missed high to the tight end and Josh Wiley, but the ball hit Josh Wiley's hands. This ball was higher than high for Marcus Mariota. So having that and then turn into a pick, I just did not like it. I didn't like it. Now, we understand he's athletic, yes, everything, the whole nine. And then you got Tanner McKee, who's killing it from the pocket, but he's not as athletic. So it depends on the coaching staff, and if Jalen Hurts has to miss a game, where do they want to go? What do they want to do? They can't run the same offense with Tanner McKee. He's a statue, but he can throw the football. So him, and like I said, we're kind of him and Aiden O'Connell, kind of those throwback guys, and we were looking at them in the draft process. If they can get their processing to a sharp NFL level. Now, they were good processors in college, but if they can translate that and even bolster it in the NFL, these guys will be killers from the pocket. Tanner McKee is showing me some good things. Right now, I understand you paid Marcus Mariota, but I'm not truly out on Tanner McKee as the QB2. I want to say that personally from what I've watched and what I know about Mariota and what I saw last year. Now we're getting to the end of my notes here. I had more on Ellis. Once again, they were shining. They combined on a big play with both of them, Nicholas Moe, Christian Ellis, Demetric Felton, shine that running back for the Cleveland Browns. And then another guy that I talk about now, you have to wonder, Nick Chubb, where are the carries going to come from? Because he's going to get a boatload of them, and he gets paid to do so, and he's great at doing what he does. So I just wanted to write that down, though. John Kelly Jr. had a couple carries. So just seeing some of the things in the running back room, I do think the Browns will be, yet again, a run-first team, even though they have some receivers. They're pretty nice toys to work with, but I think that is a run-first team in Cleveland. And then had the Kelly Ringo tough breaking coverage, but then he bounced back. So some of the guys I saw, Kevon Wallace played a lot of snaps. He was in there in the fourth quarter. Terrell Edmonds played a lot of snaps. Before I end this video, I do want to say, Sidney Brown is that man. I've mock draft Sidney Brown to the Philadelphia Eagles, and when I'm right, I got to talk about it. I was right on one of these picks, and this is the pick that I'm vouching for. I'm standing on it, and I said everything he can do. He can be a Swiss Army knife, and how I'm seeing they're using him, along with Reed Blankenship in that secondary, what we're seeing is that Sidney Brown is being used as that guy in the middle of the field, having range. I saw the play against the Baltimore Ravens. He was in the middle of the field, made the play on the hash, and last night he was doing some special things as well. He can make plays in the run game. He can make plays in coverage. Like I said, I saw him in zone coverage. I saw him in the nickel. I saw him in 2 high sets, 1 high sets, playing man, playing zone. Everything Sidney Brown can do. I told you guys, for the Philadelphia Eagles, that would be the pick. That was the fit that I saw. When you lost some of the guys like Marcus Epps in the back end, I said plug him in with Sidney Brown. A lot of people said, why go safety? This is why you go safety. He's making plays. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe once again if you enjoyed the video. That's going to do it for today. We're going to come out with more game observations for the week. And now,